Hi, Alex.
Hey Sam, how's it going?
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Sam Zaranovich. I'm a chiropractor.
I'm Alexander Rozan, I'm a body worker.
And both of us are total nerds about body language. So wanted to create this series of videos to talk about body language and posture and nonverbal communication. So in this episode, what are we talking about today, Alex?
Let's talk about how emotion is stored in the body.
I love that. Do you want to just get us started about how you think about storage of emotion or stories where you've interacted with stored emotion?
Yeah, so I think I might have mentioned this in the last video. I think that emotion is stored in the body through gesture, posture, gait, expression, vocalization, and the way people receive on the table. There's other things as well that play a role into that, but I think those are kind of like the main principles that I see, like how emotion gets stored through the body, or how you can actually read emotion in the body by observing or looking at another person.
Totally. I think I want to, the first thing I said when you suggested this topic, and I think it's such a great topic, and me being a natural contrarian said, well, I don't know if I like the word stored.
Yeah.
And I think it's the right word to use to start the conversation for sure. But I want to, sometimes I've had the experience working with people's bodies where we get into a place and we open something and then all of this emotion just happens.
Yes.
Right, where they just start expressing and experiencing. And so like stored makes sense for that. But I wanna add a little nuance to the discussion about what it means to store.
Mm-hmm.
For me, so there's this phrase from neuroscience: if it fires together, it wires together.
I love that.
The idea being that any two processes that are happening in the brain simultaneously and over again simultaneously, the brain will start, for efficiency's sake, to treat them as a single process. And
Yes.
Classic conditioning, like Pavlov's dogs, is a great example of this, where you stimulate the nose and eyes of the dog with food, and you stimulate the ears with a bell. And after a little while, the dog starts treating all of that as one stimulus that evokes a salivatory response, and so you ring the bell and the dog salivates.
Yep.
And that's that firing together, wiring together.
Yes.
Right? So I think we do the same thing with movements and gestures and posture and body language and our whatever emotions that we're having at the time. There's a little more complexity to it though, because there are some movements and gestures that are, maybe a little asterisk next to the word universal, but universally applicable across human cultures and populations, that in general, when people are in distress or despair or sadness, there's a collapse forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
This rounding.
Mm-hmm.
And a thing that you and I have already nerded out about is how we can move from one state to another state just by changing configuration.
Yeah. Well, something that we were talking about before as well is just like the bringing a smile on the face, and how smiling actually causes a chemical reaction to release serotonin just by using those muscles.
Totally. We have this idea that we have an emotion that happens inside of us, and then that emotion radiates out in the body so that people might be able to see it. And so I get happy and then I smile.
Yeah.
And what the science is starting to show is that that's not quite the whole story, that it's actually a full loop.
You can smile and get happy.
Right, exactly. And so if you can smile, and holding a smile for a minute improves mood, what else can you do with other parts of you is the thrust of the conversation that we're trying to have, and is a big piece of the work that both of us do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think on that note, it might be fun to give you a couple exercises that we can kind of like play with this a little bit.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was thinking is just by simply clenching your jaw for about a minute, we can do that together right now. Just clench your jaw. I actually think that's quite enough time.
Yeah, I agree.
So give your jaws a little massage, work that out, stretch your neck from side to side. Some of the things that you may have noticed, that's a lot of people say they notice when they do this exercise is, first physically, things go all the way up and down the body where things start to tighten. It's not just in the jaw, but everything.
Totally.
starts to
I felt all through, just below my shoulder blades, everything just sort of tightened in, and it felt like my usual stress response. Like when I get overwhelmed, it felt like started happening, and like this is again that like full loop thing where like the feedback from my jaw told me that I was stressed out, and so I started conforming to stressed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. Can I offer one?
Yeah.
So this one I got actually from a TED Talk that I saw by a woman named Amy Cuddy. I'll link to it on the YouTube post and on our pages. But it's really simple. So for this one, can we stand up and still be in frame? Let's try it. But let's go ahead and stand up. Your head may be cut off. I'm sorry.
That's
So
okay.
just
If I don't have a head, it's okay.
Stand with your arms over your head like this. And again, for about a minute or two. So what the science showed when they were doing this study in Dr. Cuddy's lab was that standing like this for about 2 minutes raises testosterone and lowers cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It's the hormone that gets, it's like a survival stress hormone. So it can elevate heart rate and blood pressure, and it can sort of narrow focus onto the immediate task at hand for survival's sake. It's also associated with long-term fat storage. More cortisol means we have to survive this somehow. We better pack on fat, and we better tunnel vision into like just getting out of this situation.
Survival mode.
Exactly, survival mode. And what this position does, and you'll notice it kind of looks like the victory pose at the end of the race, right? What this position does is it gives feedback to the brain that like we're winning, we're on top of the game. So testosterone going up tends to be experienced as competence and confidence. And so it's like, I'm fine, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've totally got this. And cortisol dropping down, we experience as like there's nothing really to worry about because it's all going the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I'm already starting to feel some of this. Are you starting to feel some of this?
I am. Well,
Okay,
this,
so let's sit and talk about it.
Yeah, I think this also brings up a really good point of like counter poses. And so if, for example, you've been working all day, you've been stressed, you've been annoyed, you've been frustrated, all the things, why not take that pose at the end of the day for a few minutes? It's something so simple and it seems so basic, but actually offers the body a lot of rejuvenation, restoration from the day.
Totally. One of the things that I recommend to all of my patients when they start is micro breaks throughout the day. So for every hour that you're working, especially if your job requires you to be sitting or standing pretty still, take 1 minute break to just open back up.
Yeah.
And when I do this consistently, I feel more effective and relaxed, and my body feels better at the end of the day, and I get more done.
Yeah.
So things that you can try at home. Next time, I think we're going to be talking a little bit more framework and about different feelings and stories that can get stored in different parts and start mapping out common patterns in the body.
I like the words you use, body mapping.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Really fun.
So stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments, or you can drop us emails, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Alex.
Bye.